Have you heard about YarnLANE, a TV show dedicated to knitting, crochet and all things yarn, bringing you demonstrations from our expert guests as well as the latest tools. And find out what's coming up on the show by following us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our email newsletter or visit the programme guide on our website at www.yarnlane.com.
We know that shopping online can be a confusing and sometimes daunting task, and sometimes all you want to do is talk to a human being. Well, our family-run customer service team are on call 24/7. They're full of friendly, warm-hearted individuals, all trained to make your shopping experience as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And not only will they take your order, they will also help and guide you on your shopping journey, so you never miss out.
Are you a fan of Sewing Street and YarnLANE? Why not join our growing Facebook fans pages? Just search Sewing Street Fans and YarnLANE TV Fans on Facebook and click Join Group. It's that simple. Never miss out on the latest news and updates from our presenters and guest designers, special offers and plenty of chat with your fellow fans. Share photos of your makes, ask for advice, interact with your favourite guests and presenters and be a part of the ever-growing sewing and yarn community. See you there!
Missed the live show? Don't worry, we recorded it for you. Never miss out on your favourite presenters, guests and makes ever again. Head on over to our YouTube pages to watch back the day's live show and enjoy your favourite demos over and over again. We also have lots of great content exclusive to our YouTube pages, such as product demonstrations, troubleshooting videos, and so much more. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a show or video ever again.
Follow Sewing Street and YarnLANE on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with what's coming up on the show, as well as being the first to know about our amazing offers. Get involved with our competitions that are exclusive to social media. And pick up some top tips from us too. In need of a crafting fix? There are so many ways you can watch Sewing Street and YarnLANE. Sewing Street is live from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day on Freeview 72 and Sky 670. Alternatively, if you want to watch us on a tablet or on the move, you can tune in on our YouTube channel, the Sewing Street app, or the websites at www.sewingstreet.com and www.yarnlane.com. You can watch past shows on Sky 670 from 1 p.m. every day, as well as our YouTube channel, the app, and our website. YarnLANE is on from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Visit our programme guide to find out when and what's on, so you never have to spend a minute without us.
Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and YarnLANE? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for YarnLANE, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or YarnLANE in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
Good afternoon, welcome to Yarn Lane. How are you all? It feels like forever since I've seen you. No, it was only yesterday. Anyway, good afternoon. We are the only shopping channel in the UK totally and utterly dedicated to everything yarn, whether it be knitting or crochet or whatever. We do it. Now, I'll tell you about this in a minute. I'm going to take you to the website first of all. If you go to our website, www.yarnlane.com, you click on Watch the Live Show. And then there you'll see me again there. There's a little message box on the right-hand side if you want to send me a message. But also, if you look across the top of the screen, first of all, you'll see there's new in, yarn, kits, needles, hooks. They are things that are not on today's show, but you may want to know where that is because today, if you've got the voucher, we are doing free P&P. If you've got this voucher when you shopped last week, whether from Sewing Street or from Yarn Lane, you'll have gotten these vouchers. You can get free P&P today. Now, if you go back to the website, there is one column at the moment, but in a minute they will all jump over to the show, everything that's been on the show today. We've got the needles that you will need for today, but here are the projects. Right, first of all, the Wool Couture cushion insert. We'll show you that later on. That's a really good price, actually, but that's not a project. Right, so we've got the Wool Couture cream cushion cardi. We've got the Hannah blanket there. We've got the, yeah, you're Hannah. Then we've got the personalised cushions and everything. That is oh, you don't have to have X and I if you don't want. You can have H and E or whatever you want. Anyway, they are all the projects from today's show. So you will see each of those in the flesh, and I will have the kits to make those here with you now. Carrie's with us. Let's say a quick hello to Carrie. Oh, hang on. There she is. Hello. Right, Carrie will be taking us through all of these, but what I'm going to do first of all is introduce you to all of the kits first. And then you can start buying, put them in your basket. Because if you remember on the Yarn Lane show yesterday, they are like within minutes. By the time I got to the end of here, I was having to tell you that one was, you know what I mean? It was very, very busy. So, where would you like to start, Hannah? Hannah blanket, first of all, of course, the Hannah blanket. So, now you get this lovely bag from Wool Couture. Everything you're seeing today is from Wool Couture. Inside the bag, you get the instructions. And then you get all the yarn you need. Now, it looks fabulous, doesn't it? Let me just get one out. So you get the 2 grey, the 2 muted pink, and the 2 cream. It's merino wool. It's beautiful. I always thought merino wool was rough, but this is beautiful. It's cheeky, chunky merino wool made in Yorkshire. They're special Spanish sheep that are bred just for their wool. They don't eat them because the meat's horrible, but their wool is exquisite. It's now lovely, hand wash only, by the way. Oh, there it is, there's the Hannah blanket. That's what you're going to make with this kit. So that's £59.99. Very easy to do, very, very easy to do. So in the bundle, you get the yarn and you get the instructions and you get a bodkin to sew it together with. What size knitting needle? Oh my word, I've just seen the size of the knitting needle.
This is going to be on a 15.
15? Yeah. 15 knitting needle. Okay, so that's Hannah blanket. That's the first one, and that looks like that. That looks like that's beautiful, isn't it? Okay, £59.99. Next, lots of you coming in for that already. Seed stitch cushion next, which is this one. So now the seed stitch cushion. We'll show you a picture of it in a second. Got it already? There you go. That's lovely, isn't it? So in this kit, you get your cheeky, chunky yarn. You get your instructions, and are they coconut husk, those?
They are, yeah.
Coconut husk buttons. You also get a needle. You obviously don't, this is not knitting. You don't get knitting needles in this, because in this one you need size.
Oh, gosh, you put me on the spot now. I think it's almost the same. Yeah.
Oh, you think they're all the same? Well, we'll have a look. As we go through, I'll tell you, because we obviously don't come with them in. We'll tell you which size needles you need. But they're chunky. 10mm knitting needles you need for that one. Okay. I've got some of those coming up in a minute. They're lovely. This bright pink look. Look, they're coming up in a minute. You need those to do that with. So that's a lovely cushion, isn't it? Beautiful cushion, that one. Then, that's £39.99. The other cushion, the cable cushion, cable cushion now. That's right, which is this one here. So this one, you get your 4 balls of yarn, you get your buttons in there, and this has got your cable in. So you'll need, now this will be interesting, when you do a cable, if you're using a size 10 needle, do you need a size 10 cable?
Yes. Well, size 10 or near thereabouts.
Okay, but you need a fat one. You can't get away with
If you, unless you have one of those ones with a little V in them, which I think lots of them do, you could possibly do it with that because you're not knitting from it.
Oh, just
necessarily. It will hold it. You could put them back onto your needle and that would be fine.
Interesting. We'll cover that when we do that. $39.99. I can't tell you how soft and beautiful this wool is. It's absolutely beautiful. Cushion inner, I haven't got it here, but lots of people are asking about it. I'll have to show you the picture, right? It's 40 by 40 centimetres, which in old money. Hang on. Go on. 100% duck feather, 16 inch. It's a 16 inch square, that, 40 centimetres. £8. Now, that's a bit affordable. I was going to say cheap then, we're not allowed to use that word. Affordable for a duck down pillow, isn't it? We haven't got them in the studio, but they are in the warehouse ready to go. Okay, now I've got another cushion. Is that where we're going next? Yeah, personalised. Here we go. So again, it's a cream cushion, but this time you've got a bit of black yarn in there. Now, will this just make one? Mm-hmm. Yeah, just one. So if you've got 2 initials or 5 initials, you need to buy that many kits. Wool Couture personalised cushion knitting kit. So again, you get your yarn, the cream and the black. You get the instructions. Oh yeah, because there's an L on this one. Now, does it give you, how does it tell you? Well, I'll start again. How do you know what letter you're doing?
You choose
there's
your
a
letter.
chart.
You've got some charts. You've got charts for every letter of the
How
alphabet. A
brilliant.
few more on this one as well. So you choose, and then the amount of black yarn that you have is going to make that letter, each letter.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Okay, so that's that one there. Yeah. Oh, you be careful that cushion doesn't fall over and knock that drink over. And then last but not least, you wait till you see this. It's just beautiful. I think this is everybody's favourite, this. So, look at the colour of the yarn first of all. It's beautiful. It's herringbone blanket. You get 8 of these. Okay, so there you get 8 of those. You get your needle and you get your instructions. This is called a herringbone blanket. I'm going to get it off the shelf because I don't think that picture's going to do it justice. Look. Look how beautiful this is. I know, lovely big tassels on the end there as well, but look. I've never seen that before. Not that I'm a hugely renowned knitter, but it's incredible, isn't it? You see that... Oh, loads of people come in for that one. You see, the thing is, this is one, I don't think you'd wear this one. You'd have this one. This is one like, you know when I do my Facebook Lives, on my chair behind me, I've got that Irish tweed, Ken and Barbie bought me this beautiful Avoca blanket. It's just stunning. I won't ever use it as a blanket. I think it just sits on my chair because it's beautiful. I think this is one of those, like, round your house. How elegant and classy is that going to look? Thrown over the arm of a chair or over the back of the sofa or something like that. I mean, obviously you can wear it. But I just think it looks beautiful. Merino wool. Merino wool, it's beautiful. It's got the colours mink. It's just stunning, isn't it? I'd put it next door to the fringed suede one I've got that Angelina Jolie bought for me. Clang, 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 clang. Right. Oh, that is... it's huge. Look. If you were going to wear it, look. There's loads of those going into baskets. Please be careful. Make sure you check out your basket. That is stunning. Right. So, Carrie, I've shown now all the... Oh, no. Let me just do the size 10 needles very quickly. Because I've never seen anything quite like this before. These are the size 10 needles. You say you were doing 15 as well?
Yeah,
I don't know if we've even got 15 on the website. No? We'll have a look now. But these are 10 for one of the projects. $5.99. I hadn't even thought about the size of the needles. Right. So, I'm going to follow you now. Hello, by the way.
Hello, how are you doing?
Lovely to see you.
You too.
These are just exquisite. They're just gorgeous, aren't they?
They're beautiful, aren't they? The merino wool, like you were saying, it is such a beautiful fibre. It's really soft, it's really squishy, it's really durable, and it has this beautiful sheen to it as well, doesn't it? You can really see it, I think, with that mink colour.
Yes, yes.
It's got this gorgeous sheen to it, which is just, well, if you're going to be making something for your house, I think what a better, what better thing to make
exactly.
really make it with. So you do have to hand wash it, obviously.
Yes.
But it's just so super soft. So I'm going to start. Lots of these kits are actually really good for beginner knitters.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah. So the Hannah blanket in particular is super for a beginner knitter. You're casting on, you're just knitting every row,
Right.
changing colour, and that's the kind of thing that when you're a beginner knitter, changing colour is one of those things that you might get a bit, I'm not sure about.
Yes,
I'm not sure about that. But this takes you all through it. If you've bought any Wool Couture patterns before, you will know how brilliantly the patterns are written, and taking you through step by step every way to knit something beautiful. So I'm going to go back to basics.
Right.
So because they are we're kind of going to go in, if you don't mind,
No,
we're going to go in a
I'm
sort of gradient of beginner to slightly more, kind of intermediate really.
Okay.
So the intarsia, which is the technique with adding this colour to another colour, is called intarsia. We've got basic knit, intarsia, we've got a bit of cable, and herringbone, which is a really unusual stitch as well. That one's called seed stitch, or it's often called seed stitch in America. In the UK, we tend to call it moss stitch.
Oh, now I asked that question.
Exactly the same.
Is it moss stitch? I'm like, no.
Yes, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. But the great thing with these patterns is that it's going to get you really into the knitting, to learning what's a knit stitch, what's a purl stitch.
Yeah.
Which is what the seed stitch
Okay,
cushions
so where are
do.
we starting?
We are starting with the Hannah blanket. Now,
Which I have to tell you is the most popular.
It's very beautiful and gorgeous for lovely evenings, cozying up.
Yeah.
Lovely evenings. So I've knitted with some of the lilac, which I just had at home.
That's right.
But in the kit you get the grey.
Yes.
So we've got the beautiful mink here. So I've knitted just a small section, and I've changed colour here. Now this is the right side of the blanket, so you can't, there's seamless sort of join there. If you take it to the back and have a look at the back there, can you see
but that's not offensive in any way
It's not
either.
at all, is it? But that's the little, that's where I've joined it there.
Right.
So I'm going to now.
Sometimes when you change colour, you get dots, kind of like, not in these, but I've seen some jumpers where they change colours, kind of half a stitch is kind of obvious. That's a lovely.
Yeah, no, it's really lovely,
too,
and because you're knitting with these lovely chunky needles, these are 15 mils for the Hannah blanket.
We don't sell 15 mil here.
Okay, they're very easy to get hold of, because people do like, especially beginner knitters, love knitting up in chunky.
Yeah.
Because it grows so quickly, and it's really encouraging to see your knitting
I'm
growing.
going to ask a quick question again.
Go ahead.
You've done, how many stitches have you done on there?
Oh, I've only done 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 18, 20.
Because when you come to that, there'll be more
it's much
on
bigger.
your needles.
Yeah. I thought to show you.
No. I just want people to realise that
absolutely.
they will have more.
Yeah, no, it's much bigger than this.
Yeah.
I'm just literally knitting,
Okay,
just a little demo to show you. So what I'm going to show you is how to change colour, and then we'll talk about it as we go along. So I've cut off this length here, so that's the mink that I was using. I've cut that length off, and I'm going to start joining the next colour. Now, the way that I join the next colour is popping my right hand needle into the stitch and just laying it over. So you've got a little loop, I'm laying it over, and I am joining it like that.
Oh,
on the
so you
second,
don't knot it on or anything like
I
that?
don't like to, because what I'm going to do now on this second stitch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use both the tail and the working yarn. I'm going to use both just to do that next stitch, and that locks it into place. Lots of patterns will, especially for beginners, will tell you to do a knot to join, but I just really don't like it. I find that it makes it bulky when it doesn't need to be bulky.
Well, and also it could work out or anything.
Work out, yeah. So when we get to the end of knitting completely, we've just got a couple of...
so we're just doing a whole row of knitting?
I'm doing a whole row of knitting, but what I want to show you is how, although it is just every row knitting, we need to be aware of what is the right side of our knitting and what is the wrong side of our knitting.
Nice, yeah.
Because what you're going to see in a moment is, so I'm just popping right hand needle into, if you're new to knitting, perfect projects. And they also come with, most of them come with this how to knit booklet
brilliant.
as well, which talks you through the whole thing. So right hand needle into the stitch, yarn
I think
around.
this would be a brilliant way to learn, because when you've just got your little needles, for me as a non-knitter, I look sometimes thinking, oh, where's she actually
Exactly,
pushing
I
that?
know.
Actually, I can see exactly where the needles are going.
Needles going in there, yarn around, pull it through and out. So I just want to show you what will happen. We need to just be aware of what is the right side of our knitting and what is the wrong side of our knitting.
Right.
So there's our join from before.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what's happened here? Let's have a look. Oh, I'm going to have, I've joined it to the wrong side. Can you see?
Oh.
So when we do another row, you will see how I've joined it to the wrong side. That's not a problem if you find that you have done that.
Yeah.
You can just undo that row. And
Well, does it matter? Does it matter because it's a shawl that's being thrown around?
you could, do you know
isn't it?
what? Well, as a blanket as well. You know, you could make it into a design feature.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
But
you're just doing another row of knitting?
I'm just doing another row of knitting because I just want to show you that that little bobble, which will be on the wrong side, which you'll be able to see a little clearer if I just do another row of knitting. I'm quite aware of clanking these massive needles on the desk.
Clank away.
There we go. Right. So when I come back to that stitch there, where we used both the tail.
Oh yes.
We used the tail and the working yarn. Just treat it as one stitch.
Right.
So much easier. So that's locked that into place. There we go. So there you go. You can see how that is now. If I bring it down a bit, that's on the wrong side there. But like you say, you could use that as a design feature, but actually it's a really nice way of thinking about your knitting, thinking about, if it's something you want to take up, how am I going to work out what's my right side, what's my wrong side, and it's really good for learning all of that.
But now you shouldn't make that mistake in the pattern because surely it will say knit so many rows and then change colour.
You'll be surprised.
Oh,
You'll
okay.
be surprised,
Okay.
especially when you're a beginner knitter. You think, well, I've got this down. I'm just going to carry on knitting until I get to the end, and then I'll change, and that would be that. Just something to be aware of. Yeah, something to be aware of. So what I'm going to show you now, because I would say that's the beginner. Very beginner. If you're someone who's knitted a little bit before, or you want to be a little bit more adventurous, perhaps the seed stitch or moss stitch cushion is perhaps the next one along. It's really going to show you what a knit stitch looks like and what a purl stitch looks like. So I'm just going to continue with this demo that I've got here.
So we're pretending now we're making that cushion.
We're pretending we're making that cushion because that cushion is in the beautiful cream yarn. So I'm just going to go ahead. So what we would do with seed stitch or moss stitch is we would knit one as usual, and then we'd bring our yarn to the front, so in between the needles, it's at the front, and I'm going to purl it now. So instead of going up into the stitch, I'm going down and into the stitch.
Okay,
so
and that's the only difference between the knit
only
and the purl,
difference. Yeah, and so I'm going to take it to the back. So you're swapping every stitch. You're swapping. You're bringing it to the front. I'm clanking. I'm going to put that there. See if I can cushion it. There we go. To the back to knit.
Oh, hang on. So you're not doing a whole row of pearls. You're doing a knit one, purl one.
Knit one, purl one.
Which
It's
is what they always say
there
on the TV.
You go. Yeah.
Knit one, purl one.
Knit one, purl one, and that would make moss stitch. So there you go. Knit one, purl one makes a moss stitch, and it is on the 10 millimeter needles because it's with the cushion. It's just going to make it that bit more sturdy, that bit more.
Right. Okay. You're still on 15.
I'm
but
still
when
on
you come to the
15s
cushion,
here.
You make it on 10.
It's on 10s, which just makes it a little bit closer. The great thing with this yarn is it's so versatile that you could use 20 mil needles if you had them and make something really
They'd
loopy.
be like rolling pins,
yeah, they do look a bit like rolling pins. But you make something really loopy and chunky, and it almost looks a bit lacy, but it's not. You've just got gaps in the knitting. So there we go. I'm just carrying on.
Now, do you need to do a tension square when you're knitting this big?
I would do, yes. I would do it. I tend to do a tension square on most things, to be honest. If I'm not going to wear it, so if it's a cushion or it's a blanket, then perhaps I know my knitting though. I know that actually I'm quite a relaxed knitter. So I would perhaps, if I was knitting this, either of the cushions, that I might go down half a needle size or a needle size. Although, saying that, you'll have a look in a moment at my cable. It's turned out okay.
Okay.
So
well, we'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, well, indeed. Let me know what you think. So when we come back, the next row, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be purling on our knit stitches, which is here, this one here, and knitting on our purl stitches. Can you see the difference?
Yeah.
Between the stitches. So I always think of pearls, like a physical pearl is round and like a little bump, isn't it? A little lump. And that's what you've got sitting right underneath that stitch there. You've got a little pearl. So we know that we need to knit on that one. And then this one, our knit stitch, looks like a little V. It's like a little scarf going around. That stitch there's a little V. So I know that I need to knit on my purl stitches and purl on my knit stitches. Okay.
Yeah. And being this big, it's easy to see, isn't
Exactly,
it?
which is why I would always recommend going for something chunky with a beginner knitter, because not only can you really see the stitches, see what you're doing, it's so encouraging that it grows really fast as well. You know, there's nothing more soul destroying than if you're knitting away, you know, keep going on 4mm or 3mm needles and it's taking you for blimmin' ever. So I would say definitely get yourself some chunky needles and some chunky yarn, and
but they look, everything you've brought today looks like really boutique-y, like you've gone to like Harvey Nichols or a posh shop like that to get, doesn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And those are the sorts of yarns that will be used in those products anyway. You know, 100% merino, quality yarns that are going to be used. And if you're going to spend time and make something, spend your time to make something for your house, why not make it with something luxury? Because, you know, it's, well, treat yourself, and it's just so lovely. It's going to last for a long time as well.
That's what Hannah was just saying. It's something you're going to keep and keep. It's not a fashion thing that in a couple of years' time you'll be like, oh, gone by now.
There's such classic designs as well. So I'm just going ahead. You can see there, look, I've come to a little V there. Yeah. So I'm going to purl onto that one, making sure that my yarn's in the front. With beginner knitters, one thing to be aware of is that if you haven't moved your yarn in between the needles, you might try to purl. So if I tried to purl now, like that, what I'd be doing is creating a stitch as well as purling. So that's something just to be aware of.
Right.
When you've finished a row, have a look at your, what am I doing here? See, look, I've got myself distracted, but I know that's a little lumpy bumpy bit, so I'm going to knit that one. Have a look at your stitches. They should all be straight. They should all be heading straight down, nice and parallel to each other. If you've got one that looks, I haven't, but if you've got one that looks, it's sort of slanted like that, almost certainly that's going to be a yarn over, where you've accidentally not moved your yarn to the right place and you've added a stitch. Right. When you come back to it, you could drop it.
And not make a hole?
Well, with this yarn, I was going to say, with this one, it's okay because it's quite forgiving, because it's so chunky. You would just be able to stretch it out. If it was on 4mm needles and it was you were using DK, then you would probably have to undo that row and go back to it, because it would leave a hole. So that is your moss stitch. And also, like you were saying, you get these beautiful coconut buttons, and actually you could put them on either way. I think they're lovely. You could do that either way.
Are there buttonholes on there then, or are they just decorative?
No, they are. I believe they are buttonholes, yeah. So, but that talks you through how to do the buttonholes, and you would do a yarn over. So to make a buttonhole, you do a yarn over on purpose rather than by accident, and that creates the hole when you come on the next row. And it's as easy as that.
Brilliant. So that's Hannah and moss stitch. Now we're going next then.
Let's have a look at the cable.
Cable.
So look, if you're lots of knitters just love cable. It gives you that bit of interest, and there are so many different cable patterns that you can use and that are around. So this is, I would say, a classic cable stitch. And you can see that one in the middle there. Really beautiful. And as you can see up on there, with the 4 buttons, it's so pretty the way that it's designed, and all we're doing is knitting and purling, but just in a slightly different variation of the theme.
But now, you do need a third needle to do. You do need a. Do
you know what? I've done it with a pencil before.
Have you?
Yeah. If I've been in the car, which if my husband's driving.
Yeah, I was going to say, not if you're driving.
I wasn't driving, I promise. My husband's driving. I too tend to take my knitting because I'm not very good at just sitting and doing not very much. So I have used a pencil before, and then, like we were saying, you can knit off this needle. This is one that I've got in my stash, and I would say that's probably, I don't think it's a 10, I think it's probably...
but you, like you say, you're not knitting off, you're just holding.
You can do if you want to, but you don't have to, because I'll show you in a moment, you can just pop those stitches back onto your needle, and also because you've knitted the whole thing, because you've knitted the stitches in the first instance on that big needle, when you then go to knit it again, you're not going to make it that much tighter. Unless you really pull your stitch tight. So I'm following my pattern.
Right, so we're on size 10 needles.
We're on size 10 needles now with the cable. And I'm at a cable row.
What does that mean?
Cable row means that's where we're going to twist the stitches.
So it's not twist on every, twist on every single row.
And a cable is just where we're knitting the stitches out of sequence.
Right.
And so it twists them, it creates this twist. Yeah?
But you don't do that every single row then?
And we've got a setup as well. So here we go, we've got just some garter stitch to set up, and then in between each cable, we've got some cable stitch as well.
Yeah.
It's reverse stocking stitch, cable stitch. Anyway, so I'm now on a cable row, and we would do, the pattern is about 8 rows, and you cable 3 times within those 8 rows.
Right.
So you'll be following that pattern. So I'm going to knit 4 stitches first of all. Just going to knit my 4. Now, when you have a look at a cable instruction, it will be C, which is cable, and then it will have a number, and then it will say F or B, and that means whether you're going to hold the stitches to the front or the back. So my next row is C4B. Now I'm not going to take 4 stitches onto my cable needle. 4 is the total amount of stitches that are involved with the cable.
Right.
So I'm going to halve it. I'm going to take 2 onto the cable needle.
Right.
And it says C4B. So I'm going to hold them to the back of my yarn. And then I'm going to knit 2 stitches, like so. 1 and 2. And then I can either pop those stitches back onto this needle here.
Onto your left-hand needle.
Onto your left-hand needle, or you could knit off them.
Oh, I see. So
entirely up to you.
If it's the same size-ish, then
if
you
it's
can
the same
knit off
size,
there.
knit off it. If it's
But
not,
if it's
pop
your
them back on there.
pencil, you put them back on.
Put them back on, yeah. So now, there we go. That's my C4B. I'm going to do some stitches in the middle of those. I'm going to do some knitting in the middle, in between those cables. I need to count to 6 now, which I think I can do whilst I'm talking. 4, 5, and 6. And then I've come to my cable again. So I'm going to take 2 stitches and I'm going to hold it to the back.
Oh, they go to the back again?
They go to the back again. Some cable patterns, you'll be doing front cable on one set and the back on the next.
We did the cable yesterday,
yeah.
and the first 2 went to the back, and then the next 2 went to the front, and the next 2 went to the back.
It determines which way the cable goes, whether it leans to the left or whether it leans to the right.
So all of these the same then? They're all always at the back, are they?
2 of them are front. Where are we? 2 of them front, 2 in the back.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've knitted those 2.
Yeah.
And I'm going to knit the 2 from my cable needle.
So you think, when you look at a cable on a jumper or a cushion or something like that, you think, oh, that looks so difficult. But actually,
it's not
a
really.
difficult stitch,
Take your time. If this is the first cable that you've done, it's a great pattern to follow because it's chunky, it knits up really fast. You can see what's going on, but it's nice and simple. And it's a nice introduction. I have, where are we? 2, 4, 5, 1 more. There we go. There we go. And keep 6, 7. I've lost track. I've lost counting. Where are we? That's gone there. That's there. There we go. 2. I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'm going to take it to the back again. 2 stitches to the back. I'll show you now how I would put them on if I was using my pencil in the car.
Yeah.
There we go, I've done 2. All I'm going to do is put them back on like that. Put that cable needle down and then knit them. The cable is literally just the sequence in which you are knitting those stitches, which creates the twist. And that's it. And that's it. So again, that's got the beautiful coconut buttons, and you add those on afterwards once you've made some buttonholes. And the instructions also give you a way to neaten up. So sometimes when you're knitting with chunky, especially, that join that we've got along where the buttons are, as you've folded it over, it can sometimes gape a little bit, just because of the nature of the yarn and the fact that it's only held by buttons. But the pattern will show you how to do a nice, neat little stitch through that you can undo when you want to wash it, but a neat little stitch so that doesn't happen. It looks really nice and neat.
Okay, so on the back, is it just plain on the back?
No, it's cable all the way around. So what we're doing is we're creating a strip. You're creating a strip. So we're starting here, for instance. Well, we wouldn't be starting there because that's the buttonhole pattern. Anyway,
start on the
end,
one,
go all the way round.
Oh.
and there, and then we fold it over. And you've got seams down the edge there.
And the seams down the edge sewn or knitted?
They are sewn.
And that's what
Yeah.
the needle in there is for?
Yep.
How many, Hannah? 8, did you say? There's only 8 of these left.
Oh,
Only
gosh.
8 of those left
Yeah.
now.
Beautiful pattern. Just perfect for any time of year really, but you know, cozying up in the winter.
Yeah, definitely.
Just gives you that vibe, doesn't it?
Gorgeous. So that's your cable.
That's your cable.
Then where are we going?
We're going to go herringbone next.
This?
Herringbone, yeah. I think this is my favourite colour.
Oh, it's a beautiful
Mink is,
colour.
I think, my favourite colour. It's so versatile. And sometimes, you know, if you put it with cream and brown, it takes on that kind of, you can see the brown tones in it.
Yeah.
But if you put it with grey, it really brings
exactly.
out the pink. I just love it. It's just beautiful.
I just think, but this one's just the pink and it looks amazing on
Yeah.
its own, doesn't it? Or not pink, mink. It looks amazing on its own. At the beginning of the show, this absolutely flew into baskets. If you've ever got your basket, please check out. $79.99. You do get 8 balls of the yarn or the wool, and you get the instructions and a needle to. Do you need to get a needle in that one? Do you need to stitch anything on that one?
Do you know, I don't think you. Oh, you do, but I would say you're only really using them to sew in your ends when you're changing it to a different ball of yarn. So you'd be sewing in your ends, and it might help you when you're making a tassel. Your tassel is just some lengths of the yarn cut up and then pulled through the very corner stitches. So that's how you're making your tassels. It's such an unusual stitch as well, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Now it is different on the other side. It looks well. It's beautiful on the other side as well, but it's a different sort of look on the other side as well. 6 of these left. That's all. Just 6 of these left. Right. So where do we start?
Okay.
What do we do with this one?
It's herringbone. When people think of herringbone, they think of like a woven stitch, but this is how to create it. Can you see what I was talking about earlier with I can tell that my knitting.
Okay, can you just go to your right just a tiny bit? Perfect.
There we go.
Perfect,
Sorry
yeah.
about that. My knitting, I know that my knitting, I'm quite a relaxed knitter. So my demo doesn't, I have to apologise, doesn't look exactly like the one that you've got over there, John, because I would go down a needle size, which is why doing a test and a sample square is so important, because look, can you see the gaps that I've made there?
Yeah.
Just because
So-
I'm a really relaxed knitter, whereas if I went down a needle size, so if I went to, am I on here? I'm on 15, you can't really get 14s, but I'd perhaps go to a 12.
Okay.
Sometimes you can get 14s, but they're quite rare. I'd perhaps go to a 12, and that would make it a lot firmer.
Would that look more like this then?
Yes.
But then this has obviously been knitted by somebody who's not such a relaxed knitter
Yeah.
as you, and they've used the 15s, and it's just come out like that.
Yeah. So always do your test square
Yeah.
and make sure that your tension is matching what it tells you. And it's usually, you know, lots of knitters don't really want to do a test square because they think it's wasting my time. But if you were knitting a garment, for instance, you could start on the sleeve and then you'd only be knitting a small part. And so test just tension then.
But you've
But
only,
with this-
how many rows have you knitted?
I've only knitted 4.
You see, and you know
I know already, yeah,
that
that-
would need to go down.
Exactly.
So you're not actually unravelling
No,
that much. are you?
exactly. So this is just 2 rows. I'm going to show you. It's got some techniques that are completely, every knitter will know how to do them, but it's just the way in which they're done.
Right.
So this first row, I'm knitting one, and then I'm slipping one, and I'm slipping it. The way that you slip a stitch is quite important because that is going to dictate which way it slants. So I've got to slip it, and that means I'm not knitting it, I'm just slipping it onto my right hand needle, slipping it knitwise. If I was slipping it purlwise, I'd be doing it like that.
Right.
But I'm slipping it knitwise, and then I'm knitting the next stitch. And then I'm going back to that slip stitch. I haven't finished with it yet. I want to pop it back onto my left-hand needle.
Right.
And I'm going to knit into the back of it.
So you're just almost twisting it.
Yeah,
aren't you?
exactly. And that's what's creating that twist, that herringbone effect. So next one is just knit again, slip it knitwise, knit it, knit the next stitch, take it off, knit into the back. So simple, so simple. So I'm going to get to the end of this. I'm slipping knitwise, knitting again, slipping it onto the left-hand needle, taking it to the back, knitting through the back, and that is creating the herringbone.
And that's it.
Well, there's another row, and
Oh,
I'm
I
going
was
to
gonna
show.
say.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. Oh, sorry, I'm getting myself confused. There we go, and then knit that one. I will show you the next row. 2 rows that are really important, but because it's just a 2-row pattern repeat,
Oh, once you've got the hang of it, you just go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, and you just keep knitting with this one. So you would just keep knitting. Oh gosh, there we go. Stop talking, Carrie. You just keep going until you get to the end of your yarn.
When you're knitting at home, are your children not allowed to speak to you?
Do you know, I don't tend to do any knitting when they're around.
Oh, okay.
It's too distracting. Or only if they're perhaps watching a film. So the next row, we're going back and we're purling. Right. So what we're going to do is, as if we're going to purl 2 stitches together. So there we go, I'm putting my right hand needle into 2 purl stitches, as if to purl, but I'm not going to take them off my needle, because what I'm going to do is I am going to, let me just double check that I am exactly, yes, no I am. I am going to purl into that top one, and then I'm going to let them go. So I'm decreasing in a way, I'm decreasing because I'm purling 2 stitches together, but then I'm going to create a stitch by purling into that top one. So I'll show you again.
Yeah.
Purl 2 together, like so. Don't take them off, and then purl into the top one again. Ooh, there we go. Purl into the top one. Purl 2 together.
So you purl into the top one, but then pull the other one off?
We take them both off. So if I was going to purl 2 together and decrease, at this point here, I've purled 2 together, I'd just lose those ones.
Right.
And that would make 1 stitch out of 2. But I don't want to do that. I want to purl, I want to go back to those ones that I've joined together and purl into that top one. So purl 2 together as if you were going to decrease, and then go back to that top one and purl it again before you take them off your left hand needle.
Right, got it.
Yeah. And that creates the herringbone stitch. And once you get to the end, as I said, once you get to the end, it'll tell you, patterns tells you handily how much to leave, how much yarn to leave, so that you can create those gorgeous big tassels at the end. And you don't have to put the tassels on if you don't want to, but I think they really finish it off.
Absolutely, they're beautiful.
Really beautiful. So there you go, those are the 2 pattern repeats. Just read your pattern. What I always do, whenever I get a new pattern, get kits sent to me, I will just sit down with a cup of tea and just have a real read through it. So there's no surprises as I'm going through, because very often if you're just doing it, it's a good tip for beginners, if you're just reading every line and trying to follow every line, you don't know what's coming next.
No, exactly.
Often what's coming next, it's just like reading, I guess, isn't it? What's coming next is going to give context and give you an idea of what it is. And if you're not sure, keep reading, because it's often that you'll get what's happening. So that's the herringbone. It's super easy, but like I said, do the tension square, because
the thing is that gives you, I know it's a looser knit than this, but it's still a very unusual, it could still look gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not like wrong, is it?
No, it's not wrong. It's just my knitting. I know that I'm quite a relaxed knitter. Often, I think when you're a beginner knitter, you're probably going to be slightly tighter, because you're worried about losing stitches. So often new knitters are I can't get it into the stitch. This yarn is so forgiving, because it's so silky and soft. It's very forgiving, and it will slide along the needles really well. So
brilliant. Be careful if you've got that in your basket. It's absolutely exquisite, isn't it? Yeah. $79.99. Loads in baskets. Please be careful, because well, just be careful, that's all I'm just saying. Well, no, because what I hate is somebody put it in the basket, not check out, and then come to check out later and they've all gone. There's nothing worse than that, thinking you bought it. It's not yours until you've checked out. But remember, if you've got your booklet, you're going to get your free P&P today. Right, so very quickly, we're going now on to the personalised ones, which are the black or the cream with the black letters on. How do these work then?
So you'll have 2 balls of the cream and a small ball of the black. In your pattern, this is a great introduction to intarsia. Intarsia is where you are, you're creating a pattern using a contrasting yarn within a larger piece. Right. So the instructions, as with, like I always say, are brilliant. They take you step by step. There's even how to wind some of your yarn in the correct way, because what you'll need to do, if you think about it, is in sections. So I've got a section here, a section here, a section in the middle, and a section over here. Because if you take a look at the back, I know, and I I should perhaps have sewn some in for you, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. It's not to be alarmed. So can you see, this is where I've joined a colour here. And this, what you don't want to happen, what you don't want to do is to just be using the cream here, start using your black and travel. What you don't want is a big...
you have a great big loop of cream.
You don't want a big loop of cream over the back there. It's okay over perhaps 2 stitches, but any more than 2 stitches, especially when you're in chunky, is not really going to work for you. So you can see there, oh no, that's where I've actually joined it with the black. So it shows you in the pattern how you will wind off some of your yarn, because we want to knit it almost in sections really. And what I want to show you is just the basic tip of when you're joining and working with 2 yarns. So what I'm going to do, let's go back, I'm making a C for Carrie. So when you go back, you might not have used charts before either. Let's just have a very quick look at the chart. The chart always runs, you start off from right to left, because that's how you're knitting, if you think about it. So the chart's going right to left and then left to right. And the way that you know that is because you can see the numbers that go up one side every other row and then every other row on the other one. So you follow your chart that way. The black is, or this darker bit is the black, and then the greyer squares are, each square denotes a stitch. Yeah? So I know that I am up here. I am going to knit with my cream, first of all. And it is, oh sorry, I'm not going to knit, I'm going to purl, because this is stocking stitch. So this is purl on the bumpy ones, purl there, and knit on this side. So I'm purling right now, and I need to go over to the black. And I just want to show you how you would loop those together to make it nice and neat, so you don't get any gaps, because that's, with intarsia, what can happen is that if you don't join your yarns properly, that you end up with a gap at the joins, and it does not look very pretty.
Wilma, we don't sell these big wooden needles, I'm afraid.
There we go. And across there, I need to go into. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up the black. So there's my, oh dear, there's my black that I'm using for this section here. And as I go to do my next stitch, what I'm going to do is make sure that that one is underneath, that one's going over the top like that, and I'm just carrying on knitting. So making sure that's underneath, and when we come back on our knit row, we would make sure that the yarn was over the top, and that's how you're travelling your yarn up, but it's all explained in the pattern, and it's really a really good introduction to intarsia. And it was also, I know that they, you know, on the pattern you might think when you're looking at the chart, oh gosh, that is a lot, but actually it's only about 20 rows. So it's a really good introduction to intarsia.
So where you are at the moment, you're going to have have you got 3 balls of yarn on the go? 2 black and...
I've got 4 actually. 4. Only because when I was doing these sections here, I had a black bit here, cream in the middle, and black over there.
But the row you're doing at the moment, you'll only...
It's going all the way across because I'm at the top of the C. So I'm going back to the cream, and what I need to make sure is that that is at the bottom, and I am starting with the cream. There we go. And going across, and that's going to create that C. And then it's just like the design of the moss stitch and the seed stitch and the cable. You knit one long piece and then you fold it and sew it in, the seams.
Is the letter only on one side?
It is, yeah.
So that means once you've got to the end of the C, you just carry on knitting cream.
Yeah, knit one row, purl one row, and there you go. That's you done. But you do have, I mean, obviously, you know, you could use these charts for anything really, just to create.
Well, also you've got all of the letters, so you know, like in the future, you can make this kit. In the future, you've got the charts there for.
You've got the charts for whatever. For
could you use that chart if you're using double knit and things like that? Or does it?
It would be quite small.
Oh, because you only have so many.
It's only maybe 20. I can't remember how many stitches it is across, but
could be a dolly.
Yeah, maybe, or just. You could say, well, each one of those squares is actually going to represent 2 stitches, 4 stitches, and do it that way. And that would be, so they're all in there. Instructions for each. So you've got some more on the back there of the pattern as well. And I quite like the L. I mean, you could do, they're great, aren't they?
Yeah. You get carried away.
I know.
Writing messages.
Yeah, for every, or XOXO, you know, for on your sofa or something.
$25.95 there for that one. Right, it's time for a recap. So shall I start with this one, actually? So this is the Wool, oh no, that's the wrong one. Wool Couture, here you go. Personalised cushion. You get 2 balls of the cream, 1 of the black. You get the instructions and you get a needle in there. And now each instruction does have all the letters of the alphabet. And you don't have to ring in going, oh, can I have an X, John, or can I have a Z or whatever. All the letters are all in there. It'll all come in that gorgeous bag like that. Please check out if you've got them in your basket. I'm going to be saying a lot of that in the next couple of minutes. Next is the herringbone blanket, which is just exquisite. In this one, you get 8 balls of the yarn. You get the instructions and the needle, and then you can, and also the instructions to make the tassels as well. It's beautiful. It's at $79.99. Please be careful if you've got that one in your basket, because that has been very popular from the word go today. I'll just put that away now. Right, the cable, I'll do the cable and knit first. The cable knit cushion is here. There's only 6 left. There's only 6 of these left. So for your $39.99, you get the instructions, you get your needle, and you get your buttons, and you get your 4 balls of yarn. Enough to make 1 cushion. There it is. That's the cable knit. There's only 6 of those left. Please check out your basket, because I see more of you got it in your basket. And then you've also got the moss stitch one. Again, you get your 4 balls of yarn. $39.99. You get the lovely buttons for that as well. Right, should we do the cushion infill now? Yeah, here you go. Cushion infill now. This is the Wool Couture. It's filled with duck down, duck feathers. £8. It's 40 centimetres by 40 centimetres. It'll be good quality. If it's coming from Wool Couture, it'll be a good quality one. And also, being a duck one, you have to keep fluffing it up, and it gets its shape back. £8. Plump it up. Right, last but not very much not least, the Hannah, because she's always the last and the least, she says. So you get 2 of the grey, 2 of the cream, 2 of the mink, plus your instructions, plus your needle. Right, loads of people have got Hannah in their basket. Showing a bit of interest, but not going the full way and asking her out. Oh, and somebody that works with Hannah has bought it. It's not Emma. It's not Emma. $59.99. Isn't it lovely? That's the Hannah blanket there. Gorgeous. Right, now, YarnLANE is back on... What day of the week is it saying? Monday. Oh, it's Wendy Orlando with Block of the Month on Monday, isn't it? Wendy Orlando Block of the Month. And then, of course, I'm not in on Monday. Rebecca Reed's in on Monday. I'm in on Tuesday and Wednesday. So my last hour before my holidays will be a YarnLANE. I know. So thank you ever so much, Carrie. It's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you very much for your expertise. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check out your baskets. It's really, really important. So tomorrow it's Sunday. I will see you on Sewing Street at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, if you stick around on this channel, yeah, in an hour's time, and we might not even a whole hour, I'll be on what's it called, Jewellery Maker, from 2 till 5. Somebody's it's not serious, but somebody can't get into work, so I'm just having to cover for them. I don't know why Vix couldn't do it, because I think she was out partying a bit late last night. That's why. Yeah, Vix has been sending all this, going, could John do this, could John do that? And I'm like, if she's sending the messages, why can't she do it? She was out drinking with Ryan last night, and who else? Kat, Amy, and Tom, her friend Tom, and obviously Ryan, because Ryan's left now. Anyway, I better go. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I'll see you in an hour's time on Jewellery Maker, or back here tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.